There are some ground units, Michael, but I'm kind of afraid to zoom out because they're pretty far back. This guy has been in and out of traffic, so they're really not on his tail right now. I'd say they're at least a quarter mile back. So when we first got overhead, we were able to find the units. I saw at least 3 or 4 of them, but the car was way up ahead. But because he was driving as recklessly as he is right now, he was easy to spot. But again, what looks like an older model Jaguar, tinted windows, but when he did have that window down, I could see the driver wearing a bright blue shirt. And again, at this point, we do believe that there may be a passenger, but still working on confirming what that person's relationship is and what their role is in all of this, but originally wanted for vehicle code violations.
Ileana, any idea if the driver is armed?
Thank you. Go ahead, Colleen. Say that again.
I said, any idea if the driver is armed here?
Unknown if he's armed, but so the reason I was kind of hesitant on saying what the other person's relationship is in this is because we were working on confirming if the person is actually a kidnapping victim, but that is what we're hearing at this point, is that the passenger in all of this is not in the car because they want to be, and they may be a victim in all of this possible kidnapping. Unknown age of that person or gender, or how long it is that they've been in the vehicle with this person. But again, it's a pursuit that we first heard about when we were back at Whiteman. It takes us about 45 minutes to get out here, and it's still going on. But now on the freeway here, southbound 215 freeway at the 60.
You know, Ileana, with the preliminary information being a possible kidnap victim there with the suspect, how does this change things in terms of police protocols and how they approach?
It changes things, Michael, in the sense that they're not going to do something like a pit maneuver because they don't want that other person to get hurt. And in most circumstances, that's at least how they would treat it. But also going to try to be as careful as possible when this pursuit does come to an end, because you don't know if that person is going to be held hostage by that driver. Again, what we're hearing is that they are possibly a kidnapping victim, unknown what their relationship is, if this is some sort of domestic issue or if this is a father and child. That is unknown to us at this time. Just very preliminary information. But again, it started as a vehicle code violation, apparently, that somehow came to light that it was also a situation where the passenger is a kidnapping victim in all of this.
Well, you see, the minute the traffic opened up there, he did as well. He was going as fast as 85, 86 miles an hour. And for the first time, just on the lower part of your screen, there you see the black and white, the squad car coming into view there.
Yeah, so widening out of here because it is a little bit easier for me to follow on this stretch, and now that we're in a little less traffic and those units are behind him now, I see at least 3 marked units here behind this vehicle, continuing to make its way southbound on the 215 freeway here, coming through Riverside, where we're coming up to March Air Force Base. So I see that out the left side of the helicopter here. This stretch of the freeway is wide open for now, but I am seeing that as you approach March Air Force Base, the traffic really does slow down significantly. So let's see what this person does. We know he's not afraid to use the emergency lane if he has to get by some of that slower moving traffic. But for now, he's smooth sailing, but that traffic is coming up here very soon.
Yeah, it's very difficult for even us at this vantage point. I can imagine only the frustration with officers. We can't ascertain what is going on inside that vehicle. The tint on those windows all the way around Ileana seems to be extremely dark.
Yeah, really dark tint. I can kind of see out the front, but we haven't really had a chance to look through that front windshield. But again, what we were hearing is that there are at least 2 occupants in the car. And look at him driving here now in the emergency lane. This is exactly what I was worried about because of that slower moving traffic. Maybe he'll exit. That is a possibility. He's not afraid to drive on surface streets. He was on surface streets for most of this pursuit so far before jumping on this 215 freeway, just as we came overhead. But for now, he's using that emergency lane to get by. I never like it when they do that because I just think about somebody with a flat tire, somebody whose car has been disabled. That's where you would be, and then you have this guy coming at you at freeway speeds. Can they stop in time? Hopefully, but you never know. For now, continuing right by the base, 215 South at Van Buren.
And we want to let our viewers know you're watching the NBC4 News. At 6 p.m., we are following this chase. It's just going past March Air Force Base on the 215. Perhaps 2 people in the car, at least the driver, and maybe, this is unconfirmed, but we're trying to confirm this information, there may be a kidnapping victim in the car as well. Ileana, any idea where the final destination might be, where this guy's going. They know who's driving the car.
Yeah, at this point, it's unknown to me if they've been able to get any information back on this person. As far as we know, the car is not stolen. So if it's not stolen and it's got the proper plates, then they'll be able to run the plates, get the registration information, and they can kind of figure out who may be driving. I am hearing it on the scanner right now. I heard CHP talking about it. They did say this started off as a vehicle code violation, so exactly what we were thinking. And then somehow it came to light that there's also a possible victim in all of this, a possible kidnapping victim. What the relationship is, what the age and gender of that victim is unknown to us. But from what I could tell, when we could see the driver, he does look like an adult male wearing a bright blue shirt that is now driving here in the center divider to get past some slower moving traffic on the southbound 215 freeway right by the base.
You know, Eliana, we've seen some pretty violent chases here recently, most notably late last week. That, I can only imagine, sits at the forefront of officers' minds when, in fact, they're in pursuit of someone. Do they pull back? Do they continue the chase? What are some of the factors that that officers have to sort of run through, or checklists that officers have to run through in cases like this?
One thing they're always considering is safety. So the safety of the general public, obviously the safety of the people inside of the vehicle, the safety of the officers. So if this gets to a point where it's no longer safe for them to continue to chase this guy, then what they can do is just pull the units off and have the airships follow only, and in hopes that perhaps the driver will think he's no longer in a pursuit and will simply pull over, pull into a parking structure, go home, just get him off the road where he's obviously a danger to everyone on this roadway. Driving in, this isn't the carpool lane. I know it looks like it, but it's not. It's the center divider. If you were broken down, this is probably where you'd be. And he's driving at over freeway speeds, about 80 miles an hour here, southbound on the 215 freeway, coming up to almost Lake Matthews. So we are a long ways from our home base at Whiteman Airport, and this pursuit has been going on now for, from what we know, at least 1 hour.
Ever been stressed waiting on payday, knowing that the bills don't wait? That's where Tilt comes in. Tilt gives you access to up to $400 instantly.
Eliana, as we continue to look at this, talk us through the beginning of this. We picked him up on the 215 freeway here. You say it started on surface streets. Do we know what area?
Yeah, it was San Bernardino. It was very close to the interchange of the 215 and the 210 freeways. He was on surface streets in that area for quite some time. I'd say at least 30 to 40 minutes, just kind of circling, going in the neighborhood in circles is really the best way to describe it. So that leads me to believe that it's likely an area that he's familiar with, but then at some point he decided he was going to try the freeway route. So he did jump on the freeways, and that's essentially where we picked him up when we got overhead, was right when he had gotten on the freeway. So he was southbound 215 at the time. There was 2 airships overhead at the time, San Bernardino as well as Riverside. And again, if this gets to be so dangerous to the point where they can't follow with units anymore, then it's going to be up to those helicopters to continue to follow this guy until they see this come to an end. But for now, freeway speeds here coming into Paris.
Eliana, when we first joined you here just before the 6 p.m. show, it was San Bernardino police in pursuit. Is there going to be a handoff to CHP since this is primarily on freeway?
That is something that they're starting to talk about, and I'm going to push in on the lead unit here so you can see it's actually a police unit. I think it's San Bernardino Police since they were the original agency. But CHP is being advised. That's who I'm hearing here on their frequency. So they're talking about it. And as you were saying, because this is on the freeway, it would be best suited for the California Highway Patrol to take over the chase. They are the police of our freeways here in California, so they're just going to be able to handle this a little bit better than police units that are outside of the jurisdiction, because eventually those radios for those police units are going to start getting scratchy. They're going to stop working. They've been on this for quite some time. They can start running out of fuel. But if you have these fresh CHP units that can pretty much take over at any point and can continue to swap out with each other as we make our way down whatever freeway, they really will be the best suited to follow this police pursuit. For now, continuing to be what I believe to be San Bernardino police here, southbound on the 215 freeway, coming up to the Ramona Expressway here in Paris.
Ileana, as we look at this picture here, you can't help but notice the squad car or the SUV directly behind seems to be a little more aggressive. They will not pit this car, A, going at this speed, and B, with another passenger in there. What are their options?
Their options are spike strips, so that's one thing we haven't talked about. So they could deploy some spike strips. They would just have to figure out what way is this guy going, what lane is he going to be in. Right now, he's actually kind of predictable because he is on the southbound 215. He's been on it for quite some time, so it might be a situation where CHP could get up ahead and lay down some spike strips. They do have their favorite locations where they like to do this along the freeway. We won't mention that at this point because just in case the person's monitoring our broadcast, we wouldn't want to give that away. But it is a situation where perhaps they'll be able to lay some spike strips up ahead, get those those tires to start deflating. Usually it doesn't stop the car immediately, but eventually those tires do get flat. Sometimes they just fall off, and that could bring things to an end. In terms of pit, they probably won't try it just because of the possibility that there could be a victim inside. Yeah,
a coordinated effort indeed. I certainly don't want you to take eyes off of the car here that's in pursuit, but can you give us an idea of what, and we see some more units there off to the side, what traffic looks like ahead for this driver and for those officers in pursuit?
Yeah, so you saw those units that were kind of staging there off to the side. So some of those units can actually swap out with police units that have already been on this for over an hour. So things like, you know, getting low on fuel, for example, are situations why they would swap places. And another thing that we want to mention, as you were just asking, is the traffic. I'm looking up ahead as far as I can see, and at this point, I don't see anything in the way of traffic for quite some time. I want to say all the way to Temecula. So it looks like where we get to the 15 merge with the 215 there in Murrieta, then it becomes the 15. The 215 actually comes to an end. And then once we're past that point, I do see a little bit of slowdown headed north, but not headed south. So if this guy just stays south, then he's not going to really encounter any traffic until he gets all the way to the Mexican border. So hopefully we're not going that far, but he does have a completely open freeway up ahead.
Ileana, you mentioned that this started with a vehicle code violation. Any idea how they discovered there might be someone else in the car who was being held, maybe against their will?
That's an excellent question, Colleen, and at this point we're not exactly sure, but if the victim, for example, does have a cell phone and maybe they were able to shoot off a text or something, or potentially make a phone call to 911, that could be how it is that they know that this person potentially has a victim inside. But at this point, that part is still unclear. It's also unclear what the relationship may be. Was this a random kidnapping where they picked a person up from the street, or is this somebody they know, a relative or a domestic partner or even a child? So that part is still unclear to me at this time. But I continue to hear the chase on CHP. I can only assume that they're going to take over at some point. Perhaps we'll be able to get a little bit more information once I can hear it on their frequency. The chase, though, continues southbound on the 215 freeway, now in Paris. And again, the 215 is going to come to an end here very soon when we get to Murrieta. It becomes the 15. And then from there, smooth sailing as far as we can see all the way down to the Mexican border.
$5 a day invested for 1 year and you could have $1,900. $5 a day invested for 10 years and you could have around $28,000.
Eliana, we saw those officers staged there off of the off-ramp not too long ago. Now we see, again, still 3 to 4 SUVs behind. And as Colleen mentioned, perhaps a little more aggressive than they were early on. What does this tell you about their tactics and their mood and possibly what's next?
Michael, I don't know if you saw that when I widened out the shot really wide. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm seeing at least what looks like 7 units of law enforcement now behind this vehicle. So that really tells you something. This is clearly someone that did more than just a vehicle code violation, which is literally a minor infraction. Yeah. Most of the time, they would just let somebody go for something like that. So as far as we can tell, this is somebody who they clearly want to take into custody. Again, possible kidnapping suspect is what we're hearing, and the victim may still be in the car from just the very preliminary information that we're getting on this one. But again, they're going to continue to follow this guy. They can try some spike strips. They're not going to try anything too dramatic, especially if that victim is inside. So the car may actually run out of gas at some point too. So that's another option that law enforcement has. And when it does, then you'll have what looks to be about at least half a dozen officers that are going to be at the ready to take this person into custody, and if the victim is still inside, to get that person to safety.
Once again, he's still on the 215 headed south, going through Paris at this point. And Ileana, I've asked this before. Do we know any more about whether or not he's armed?
Still unknown, Colleen, but that really changes things. If they know that he's armed, that's really going to change the way that they approach the suspect when all things are said and done. Pit maneuver, we didn't really think they were going to try one anyway because of the victim being inside, but usually when a suspect is armed, they won't do it either, because if they were to pit the car and then it ends up nose to nose with a patrol unit, that could endanger the life of that officer, so they wouldn't try it in that situation either. So at this point, it's unknown to us if the person is armed, but it does lead you to question, well, how did they get that victim in the car? So it is a possibility. Again, at this point, all options are on the table.
You know, Eliana, we've seen cases like this before where they know who the person is. They've run the plate on this car. What could be happening behind the scenes? Could family members perhaps be contacted at this point to try to talk this driver into surrendering or to give up at this point?
Yeah, oftentimes that's what they'll do. They'll get in touch with their families. I know mothers often will be the first ones to call in these types of situations, and they try to convince their child, their son or daughter, to give up. And sometimes that works, and sometimes that's all the suspect really wants, is just to hear the voice of a family member one more time before they do surrender. So we see that time and time again. So that is a possibility. Of course, nowadays everybody has a cell phone, so it is very easy to get in touch with this person, and if law enforcement knows who they're dealing with, then a 911 dispatcher can actually call the suspect as well. They can get a crisis negotiator on the phone. They can get a loved one on the phone. So they do have some options if that person is willing to talk to law enforcement over the phone. Of course, these units are also equipped with loudspeakers. They can make announcements. We've got the helicopters overhead that can also make announcements when the vehicle comes to a stop.
Ileana,
go ahead, Colleen.
I don't mean to interrupt, but what were those two cars on the shoulder of the road there? Were those officers in unmarked cars, or were those people just broken down?
I actually didn't get a good look at them, Colleen, but we did notice earlier that there were patrol units that were staging there on the sides of the freeway, ready to jump in the pursuit. But I think some people are just pulling over. I just saw that one truck, that silver truck, pull over. So that's exactly what you want to do, actually, in these types of situations. If you see a police pursuit coming your way, the best thing you can do is to, when it's safe to do so, move over to the right, let the pursuit go by, and then join the freeway yet again when it is safe. A lot of times, unfortunately, we see situations where people try to be heroes. They think they're going to help law enforcement. They think they're going to help box the guy in or help him slow down. That is not what you want to do, especially in a situation where you don't know if this person is potentially armed. Not only are you putting your life in danger, but the lives of the officers in danger as well.
All right, so Eliana live for us in a news chart before. Again, 215 southbound, this car we have been tracking for well over 15, 20 minutes at this point. We see a number of units behind. And Colleen, as you mentioned, and I'll mention it again, the tactics of these officers, at least the proximity, seems to be a lot closer than it was before. So again, makes you wonder, as Eliana mentioned, this more than just a code violation on the vehicle. There's perhaps something more serious going on here, with preliminary reports that there might be a kidnapping victim in the car with the suspect.
All right, as we continue to watch this, as you point out, Michael, the 215 coming up on Menifee, then we go through Temecula. The traffic is really thinned out here. And I really want to ask Ileana, when we get an opportunity to, about the spike strips. Obviously, at this speed, with someone in the car, we wouldn't necessarily see a pit maneuver. But we have with us someone on the phone right now. Bill, are you with us?
I'm here, Colleen.
All right. Can you give me your last name? You are a retired CHP officer?
Retired Sergeant Bill Preciado here, Colleen.
Oh, okay. Know the name? Thank you for joining us. So talk to us about what happens with spike strips. How do you do this on a freeway when you've got other traffic?
Well, I think Ilana referred to that earlier, is sometimes a lot of areas have their strategic locations where they want to deploy the spike strips. On the freeway, it would be optimal because it's one direction, but it's got to be specific, and the safety for the officers, there has to be surrounding cover because that spike strip does deploy across 1.5 lanes, and they have to just time it accordingly. And coordinate with the units. As of right now, I believe San Bernardino PD is still the leading units here. I don't see CHP getting involved, although I've seen them on the shoulder, but that is the normal protocol. They will call for CHP assistance. Once CHP takes over, they can more easily coordinate when a spike strip, if they decide to use that, to be deployed.
Wouldn't a spike strip automatically be deployed whether they were the lead or not, just in assisting and aiding with the chase?
You would think so, but coordinate the communication, like Eliana alluded to earlier. Sometimes the municipalities, their radio frequencies do not transmit as easily once they get outside of their jurisdiction, and thus makes it harder for the communication to take place between either the allied agencies or their own dispatch center. So it's optimal that the agency would hand it over to the CHP so that they can coordinate more efficiently with the ground units that are going to deploy that spike strip.
Bill, as you look at this right now and you see the units behind, you know you've got air units, you see you've got wide open freeway. What's the best course of action?
Well, right now we got a couple of things working in law enforcement's favor. It's very, very light traffic. They're heading southbound. It hopefully continues in this manner until the individual. At this point, we're relying on what the individual is going to do. Right now, they're staying in one lane. The speeds are between 75 to 80 miles an hour, and they're not going in and out of traffic, which is good for both the officers and the fleeing suspect, and reduces the safety factor for the motoring public around them. So right now, it's a wait and see what they're going to do. Of course, coordinating with ground units and the air unit to see if he does get off the freeway, to coordinate in the event that the person does take foot bail.
Preliminary reports here say that there possibly might be a kidnapping victim inside. How does that change an officer's tactics on how this is handled and resolution? Yeah,
that definitely changes the whole dynamic because of the apparent victim that may be within the vehicle. So you're not only, as a law enforcement agency, you're thinking about the motoring public, but you're thinking about the victim inside. And more than likely, I think you mentioned throughout the broadcast that it's possibly someone that they know, maybe a domestic violence issue. We don't know quite yet at this point, but that's one of the things that the responding units are obviously keeping at the forethought while they're making the decisions. And there's always going to be a sergeant making the calls, whether to continue or back off or coordinate the ground units with allied agencies or their own units to coordinate in the event of a standoff or an eventual foot pursuit.
Bill, you're looking, he's in Murrieta right now. As you pointed out, he's not really going much faster than the speed of traffic out there, anywhere from 65 to 75. You've got Temecula coming up, then San Diego County. What happens then?
Well, the benefit with the CHP is that we've got divisions. Actually, CHP's got divisions throughout the state. There's 8 divisions. So this would be their border division, which goes all the way to the Mexican border. So they are coordinated. At some point, if it gets to that point, and we've seen this in the past where it gets close to the Mexican border, they do coordinate with the Mexican officials if, in fact, it gets to that point. And they would assist in that way, but the units would not cross into or across the border if it gets to that point. They would coordinate just with the units on the other side of the border. But right now, I would say at some point they're going to have to turn it over to the CHP if this is still San Bernardino PD in the pursuit at some point, just for officer safety issues and radio communication issues.
You know, Bill, I was just going to ask you that on the topic of CHP and the handoff. Are you surprised they haven't done the handoff already?
You know what? We leave it up to the initiating agency, and as we know, this has been going over an hour and initiated in the San Bernardino area, so they've got the call on the particular incident. Why it hasn't been done up to this point, because we are quite a bit away from the San Bernardino County line. So at some point, the sergeant or the agency is going to have to make the call. And in this case, the CHP would assist, and of course, obviously, they would turn over the body to the initiating agency just for uniformity and filing purposes for the court jurisdictions and so forth.
Bill, as we look at the tight shot from News Chopper 4 here, I can't help but notice we're passing through some residential areas. Would it be normal for police in that jurisdiction or any kind of law enforcement to stop traffic from getting on the freeways there?
Oh, definitely, yes. All the allied agencies have been notified. CHP does notify all municipalities as the pursuits are going into it for this very same reason. So they can coordinate either holding the traffic getting onto the freeway southbound or just to be ready in the event that they do exit and we need assistance on the surface streets.
Bill, talk about the benefits at this point. CHP, San Bernardino Police, they have what on their side, at least right now, with this driver?
Well, the first and foremost thing is that traffic is very light. The speeds are, you would say, actually normal freeway speeds, right? 70 to 80 miles an hour, what we're seeing out there. He's not erratic. The driver's not driving erratically, using all lanes, or at some point they were using the emergency lane where traffic was a little more congested, and that is of concern to the pursuing units. But in this case, it's pretty wide open. I think the wait and see tactic is probably going to be the most beneficial for the responding agency. And at this point, one of two things: either a spike strip up ahead where it's pre-coordinated, or where the individual eventually does, and we've seen this case in other pursuits, where they run out of gas and start slowing down. So that may be one of the things that may happen in this case.
Let's talk about that running out of gas, because he's been driving for quite a while. We believe the make and model on this is an older model Jaguar. How long could something like this go without having issues with fuel?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we all take into consideration as well. But as we know, these vehicles can go quite a distance. We don't know where this individual started, whether it was a full tank or half a tank or quarter tank left. But the officers do maintain visual contact with these vehicles. Sometimes they'll see smoke coming out of the vehicles because these vehicles aren't used to driving at such a high rate of speed at continuous, in this case, over an hour, whereas the patrol vehicles are maintained regularly, and they're outfitted so that they can endure high-speed chases for extended periods of time. So in this case, it's just a visual observation on that primary unit, which is the first one. The second one's usually going to be calling out the location. The first one's job is just to maintain visual contact and maintain close proximity without endangering any other civilian lives around that vehicle.
Turn on Share My Trip in the Uber app, and we'll keep your loved ones updated from pickup to drop-off.
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and...
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he just made the transition from the 215 now to the 15 freeway. Again, it was a two-lane road to get to that to the 15. But again, tactics remain the same. What you're seeing here with San Bernardino Police in terms of distance from the driver seems adequate at this point, based on the circumstances.
Yes, definitely. That's within a safe distance. Each agency has their policies and procedures. In this case, if those are all San Bernardino PD officers, there's, I believe, 3 or 5 that we just saw on the camera. But that would be normal protocol for most agencies to continue pursuing at a safe distance with air unit support above, which I believe there still may be either CHP or the local sheriff department may be assisting with an air operation.
Bill, we understand the driver is a male, and he may have a passenger. I'm not sure how we've come by that information, but we're trying to confirm there may be a passenger who's in a car being held against their will. How does that change the nature of what you do in a chase like this?
Well, in a lot of instances, the tactics that they can use, such as a pit maneuver, is probably not going to be an option at this point because of the innocent person or quote-unquote innocent person that's in there, possible kidnapping victim. So that limits one of the tools that the pursuing agency can possibly use. And then some agencies don't teach pit maneuvers, so that's another option as well. I don't know if San Bernardino is open to using a pit maneuver. I know the CHP does, and we've seen it in past pursuits. So that's at the forefront is the safety of the individual. And, of course, this is all second information coming from it went to the dispatch center, and it gets out to the responding unit that it could be a possible kidnapping since there's 2 people in there. So those officers are going to have to take that into consideration, even in the event that it comes to a standoff situation where they're stopped, eventually run out of gas, or they decide to stop. They're going to take the individuals out one at a time until it is completely clarified. They will probably put those people in handcuffs until it's determined completely what exactly was going on.
All right, retired Sergeant Bill Preciado, thanks so much for your expertise on this. As we mentioned, he's in Temecula right now. We're going to keep an eye on this situation, bring you more as we get it.
All right, living in LA County is
on the eve.
We have enough to just go home. We're not going to be able to follow this much longer anyway due to the weather. Yeah. Sarah, you can turn around. We can go home. And for those of you watching us online, we of course thank you for your viewership. I hate to have to leave it like this without us knowing the final termination here, but we're going to continue to keep tabs on this one and make calls to our friends down in San Diego. The pursuit is headed their way. We're just at the 15 freeway at Temecula Parkway. You see all of the units here in pursuit, still very active in pursuit behind this guy, but we've come to a situation where we are experiencing some low clouds here, so we are going to be U-turning back to base. We, of course, are going to have an update for you on this pursuit on our later newscast. We have a newscast coming up at 7 and one at 11, so we hope to be able to have an update for you then, and, of course, always on NBCLA.com and all of our streaming platforms.